Alfy Amplified.
When America celebrates its 250th birthday this year, everyone is going to tell you the exact same story. They will talk about Boston's steel, Philadelphia's halls, and Virginia's generals. But they are looking at the wrong map. I said earlier, you are looking at the wrong map. Because the real engine of the revolution wasn't born in a pristine legislative room. It was fueled in the smelling, chaotic underbelly of Manhattan's fly market on Maiden Lane. History books skip this, but in 1776, British officers thought they completely controlled occupied New York. What they didn't know was that the local fishmongers, butchers, and enslaved laborers sharing the grid were running a black market intelligence ring, hiding stolen British naval codes inside the bellies of the literal fish. And here is the wildest part that no one talks about. The very geometry of the New York grid was weaponized against the crown. The British layout of Lower Manhattan was designed to keep people boxed in. But local patriots realized the British Guards' battle routes left a precise 4-minute geometric blind spot right near the old battery wall. If you knew the grid, you could smuggle a message from a spy tavern to a rowboat on the Hudson River without ever seeing a single record. The city layout wasn't just a map, it was a physical camouflage system for liberty. For 7 years, New York was an occupied prison city. Yet, beneath the boots of the British Army, ordinary citizens used the literal streets to rewrite human history. Welcome to Alfy Amplified. Today we are unlocking the hidden codes of the grid of freedom. How New York fueled the revolution. When the British finally evacuated Manhattan on November 25, 1783, George Washington marched down Broadway to a city that was physically broken. New York wasn't a glittering metropolis. It was a charred, debt-ridden landscape. But the end of the war sparked a new kind of revolution. The fight for independence was over, but the fight for economic autonomy was just beginning. And the weapon of choice? The expansion of the city grid itself. In the early 1800s, city planners did something radical. They unrolled a map and drew a relentless democratic grid of 12 avenues and 155 streets right over the island's wild terrain. This wasn't just urban planning, it was an economic equalizer. In the old world, land belonged to the aristocracy, passed down through bloodlines only. The new American grid turned land into liquid capital. Anyone with enough drive and a few dollars could buy a specific lot, build a business, and own a literal piece of the new republic. But here is the incredible untold twist of this expanding grid. In 1821, New York State passed a law designed to suppress votes. It stated that black men could only vote if they owned at least $250 worth of real estate. The establishment thought this would keep power in the hands of the elite. They underestimated the grid. Free black Americans and Irish immigrants looked at the undeveloped northern layout of the island, saw an opportunity. In 1825, individuals began aggressively purchasing lots in a remote area between 82nd and 89th streets. They built homes, planted gardens, and founded Seneca Village, a thriving, self-made property-owning community. They used the very rules designed to exclude them to buy their way into the constitutional promise of 1776. Seneca Village proved that the American Revolution wasn't a singular event that ended when the British sailed away. It was a continuous, living blueprint. The grid of New York provided the physical canvas, but it was the resilience of everyday citizens who refused to be left out of the narrative that gave that canvas its soul. And as the city continued its unstoppable march north, the physical remnants of those early struggles became permanently baked into the asphalt we walk on today. If you walk through the lower Manhattan today, you will notice something strange. The streets down there don't follow the neat, right-angled grid of upper math-like precision. They curve, twist, and bottleneck. That is because you are walking on literal scars of the revolution. Wall Street is not just a financial brand. It is the exact perimeter where a massive wooden defensive wall stood to protect colonial New York. When you stand on the corner of Wall Street and William Street, you are standing on the literal edge of what used to be the Western world's front line. And look up at the harbor as the massive, tall ships gather right now to celebrate this 250th year milestone. They are retracing the exact naval routes where British warships tried to choke the life out of American liberty. The ports of New York and New Jersey did not just witness history. They generated the wealth that funded the early nation's survival. Every wave hitting the piers today carries the echo of the rowboats that smuggled spike coats across the East River in the dead of night. 250 years. It's an incredible milestone for a grand experiment that almost did not survive its first winter in New York. But the biggest takeaway from the grid of freedom is not about the dirt or the stones. It is about the people. It is about fishmongers at the fly market, the spice logging data at Francis Tavern, and the pioneers who built Seneca Village. They proved that independence is not a static document signed in 1776. It is the living, breathing blueprint that we have to keep building every single day. This year, as we celebrate across the nation, don't just look at the fireworks. Look beneath your feet. What hidden history, what untold story of resilience is buried in the grid of your hometown. Let me know in the comments below. I want to read your local history stories. If you want to keep uncovering the deep cuts of the past that the textbooks left behind, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and help us keep amplifying the truth. Thank you for watching. Keep exploring, and I will see you next time. Until then, vanakkam, enjoy your life, and a happy 250th Independence Day.
Thanks for watching Alfy Amplified. Please share, like, and subscribe.